Co-creators, welcome. Welcome to another channeled message. A channel message for the collective that are really needing to hear this today. The title of this video and this message is The Allure of Blaming, Shaming, and Projecting. And man, do I know this so deeply in my own personal journey. Do I understand this allure? And I know that we all do. And I pick the word allure. I love the word allure, and we'll get into allure and almost the seductive nature of that particular behavior that we all engage in. Doesn't matter how far along or not you're on your journey. No one is perfect. No one is doing no blaming, shaming, and projecting. But I know for everyone that has joined this and for the collective that listened to this particular message and that this message is for today, I know that you've really struggled with this, as I have. I know that your emotions get the better of you and they feel overwhelming. Your triggers in your life, the people, places, and circumstances, they set off all of this chain reaction of stuff going on within you, and it's so difficult to not react. But you don't need to react anymore. And we'll get to that. But I really want to speak into, first of all, the choice of the word allure and seductive nature of blaming, shaming, and projecting. Ultimately, the foundation of all blaming, shaming, and projecting are our emotions, is our internal, chaotic, otherwise chaotic, because we haven't got a grip and we don't understand how to have a grip on those. When we feel at chaos internally, when we feel thrown around by life, when we are being triggered and our past traumas and all of the things within us that those triggers are trying to get us to heal, to resolve, to turn inwards rather than projecting, blaming, and shaming, the allure and the seductive nature of blaming, shaming, and projecting is so strong. If I may be crass for a second, it is like for a man when he sees that the woman, an attractive woman, walking down the street, and he can't just help but sort of look and experience the sexual seductive nature of the opposite sex. The same is for the projection of our inner world, our emotions, our feelings onto the external world as the fault, the perpetrator for us feeling that way. And the allure is there because when we are in our emotional world, when we can't see clearly, when we can't be rational, we can't be calm, when we don't understand what to do with all these emotions, naturally, the response is to focus externally, is to believe in the stories that our mind is cultivating in that very moment as our body is stirring with all of those sensations, those emotions that are stirring up within us. As the trigger event happens, immediately the automatic reaction is to blame, shame, and project. And we can be caught our entire lives, so much of our spiritual willpower, or just generally our willpower, so much of our authenticity, so much of our creativity, our self-expression can be blocked away simply because we are caught in this endless trap of blaming, shaming, and projecting. And by the very act of giving into the allure or the seductive nature of our emotional world to then blame, shame, and project the people or the person, the place, or the circumstance that is triggering that reaction, the intense allure, so long as we continue to give into that the seductive nature of externalizing our internal world onto the world, we will continue repeating those very things. We will never break free. We will constantly be thrown around by life. We will constantly experience an internally chaotic world and may need to go to different substances or things in our life to cope with our emotional world. But of course, The answer again, and if you haven't watched my previous video on truth is the ultimate medicine, watch that first, because that ultimately becomes the very thing that stops you from doing that. Accessing your personal truth. Truth is the ultimate medicine. Truth will always set you free. The truth that you are locking away, the shadows that you lock away, the versions of yourself that you haven't accepted yet, the versions of yourself that you've compartmentalized, that cause you to be a very fractured individual. And we're all doing this to some extent. But those of us that are taking a responsibility and accountability for the various parts of ourselves that are otherwise less desirable, that we want to lock away, for those of us that continue to give energy and attention to the allure and seductive nature of our emotional world as it continues to spill out onto our external world, doesn't matter what's happening, will perpetuate that very thing. But I know all of those that are listening to this message, especially if you're still listening, are sick and tired of it. Are sick and tired of the blaming, shaming, sick and tired of feeling like a victim, sick and tired of feeling powerless in their lives. Then this is a call for you to take radical self-accountability, responsibility, to be radically honest with yourself. That is the only way you can access your truth, your internal truth, by asking yourself questions, by being curious as to why you even do that in the first place. Why am I blaming, shaming, projecting? Why do I continue to give in to the allure and the seductive nature of projecting, shaming, and blaming people, places, and circumstances? Just like for a man, in one's maturity, for a man is to not constantly give in to the sexual seductive nature of all of the various temptations, or even just not for a man, but for people, generally speaking. The world is filled, the devil-like energy that exists not as a personification of the devil, but as an energy of seduction, as an energy of alluring, as an energy that pulls you out of alignment, as an energy that gets you to focus in on the external world, that takes you out of your place of alignment and causes you to give in to seduction, to allure, to addiction, to one of the things that we are most of us struggle with, and that is attachment, emotional attachment. So if you are ready to finally bring your emotional world back into balance, to calm your mind down, to stop giving into the mental narratives that your mind is saying as to why you should be blaming, shaming, and projecting, because the mind cannot be helped. The mind is naturally an externalizing energy. The mind attempts to understand the world, to navigate the world that it's in, even when it comes to your emotional world. As the emotional reaction happens, the mind's natural response is to look externally to find the answers. But consciously, we can decide, we can use the mind's power to explore why those things are happening in the first place, to take the power back, to let go of the allure and seductive nature of blaming, shaming, and projection, and finally take full accountability and responsibility for all of the ways in which we show up in the world, all the ways in which we be in the world, stepping powerfully into your life as a co-creator. So if you've made it to the end of this video, you truly are one of the people in this collective that are listening to this video, that are listening to this channel message. You are truly ready to do this. You are truly ready to give up a life of emotional chaos, of internal chaos, and take back control of your inner world, bring it back into alignment, bring it back into a state of peace, to start that journey, the lifelong journey of looking within oneself at all of the various ways that one has compartmentalized oneself, one has fractured itself, one has locked away secrets of itself, locked away hidden truths that then unconsciously become all the various ways that we blame, shame, and project the world. I thank you for listening to this message, and until the next video, thank you.